Good day. What we're about to explore and analyze using Barrett's Principles of Interpretation is Jacques-Louis David's work entitled The Intervention of the Sabine Women. For the first part of the analysis, we will delve into the description and the specifics of the features present in the painting. For the analysis part, David had a notion to narrate the tale of the rape of the Sabine women when his wife paid him a visit while he was incarcerated. According to legend, the artist that created the intervention of the Sabine women was in memory of his wife, Marguerite Charlotte Picot, when her wife visited him in prison and gave him some inspiration with the message that love triumphs over strife. When the males of Rome abducted spouses from other cities, the rape of the Sabine woman became a famous historical art motif. It seems as though the media portrayals of violence have always been this common. But since David was familiar with history, he knew that there had been a conflict between Romans and Sabine soldiers at the gates of Rome. The artwork was seen as a call to arms for people to come together following the slaughter of the revolution, since a Sabine girl named Hersilia, later married to Roman general Romulus, throws herself in the middle of the fight at the height of the battle and begs for an end to it, a famous moment of empathy during a violent confrontation. A relative historical event that inspired David to create this masterpiece was the death of Marat. Painted in 1793, immediately after Charlotte Corday assassinated the revolutionary leader, this is the primary example of the artist's inspiration as a result to all of this.
The primary analysis for color and thematics used by Jacques-Louis David is as follows. With a new graphic credo, David said, "I want to paint pure Greekness," making his departure from the strict Roman manner of the yacht of the Horati, Louvre. In addition, he sought to compare himself to the great Greek artists of antiquity. He supported the idealized beauty views of German archaeologist and ancient art historian Johann Winckelmann. In his painting, he chose a frieze-like composition with no spatial depth and painted his heroes battling while nude, like in Greek sculpture. The impact is strengthened by the drawing's dominance over color, the consistent lighting, and the color palette simplification. A rebuttal to some of David's students, the Primitives, who were close to Ingress and opposed their teachers' Roman influence and promoted an archaic style. The new path David's work had gone. The French first consul, during this period, he created his empire style, distinguished by its cozy Venetian hue. The tricolor flag appears in the image but is reversed, giving the impression that France is out of shape.
Moving on to the interpretation, the intervention of the Sabine women by Jacques-Louis David is a prominent example of classical art's emphasis on balance, order, and symmetry. The figures are positioned in a pyramid shape with the Sabine women at the top, implying unity, stability, and equality. The balance of the picture is emphasized by the equally placed figurines, which focus the viewer's attention on the central figure. The painter uses a strong contrast of light and dark to emphasize the shapes of the figures and create a dramatic impression. The soldiers' armor and weaponry are painted painstakingly, emphasizing their power and might, while the women's attire and hair are rendered with accuracy, offering the picture a feeling of authenticity. The gestures of the characters are exaggerated and suggestive of emotions and intentions, as is typical of classical art. For example, the Sabine lady in the center spreads her arms, imbuing the picture with movement and drama as if pleading for compassion or attempting to halt the struggle.
According to Krauss 2010, this level of analysis involves an interpretation of the meaning of the painting. In the intervention of the Sabine women, the painting can also be seen as a celebration of the classical ideal of reason triumphing over violence. The Sabine women are depicted as rational actors, intervening to stop the violence and bring a peaceful resolution. The painting can also be seen as a commentary on the role of women in the society, highlighting their potential as agents of change. The painting's classical style is further reinforced by David's restrained color palette of earth tones such as brown, beige, and green, which evokes a feeling of order and restraint. The subdued hues also contribute to the harmonic balance that is a hallmark of ancient art. Overall, the intervention of the Sabine women is a stunning example of classical art that showcases the principles of balance, order, and symmetry. The painting's composition, use of contrast, attention to detail, and restrained color palette also contribute to its classical style, making it a masterpiece of neoclassical art.
A number of criteria can be employed to determine if a piece of art may be categorized as neoclassical. Following are some essential traits that neoclassicism is often linked to. Emphasis on classical antiquity. Neoclassical art often uses classical themes, motifs, and style in an effort to mimic the art and culture of ancient Greece and Rome. This may include the use of classical mythology, historicity, and architecture. Next is form idealization. Neoclassical art often displays idealized symmetrical forms that exemplify the classical values of harmony, balance, and proportion. Usually, powerful muscular and heroic figures are shown, focusing on physical perfection. Next is clarity and simplicity. Neoclassical art often favors straightforward, understated compositions, highlighting the main characters or themes. To provide a feeling of clarity and order, details are often eliminated. Next is traditional methods. These are often used by neoclassical arts who place more emphasis on skill, artistry, than on individual expression. These methods include drawing, painting, and sculpting. And lastly, historical and political context. Neoclassicism arose during the Age of Enlightenment and was often linked to principles of reason, stability, and order in politics and society. These principles are often reflected in neoclassical art, which is an effort to maintain continuity and an ancient antiquity in a world undergoing fast change.
These standards permit the classification of the intervention of the Sabine ladies as a neoclassical work. It has a typical theme, idealized shapes, a straightforward composition, and conventional methods. Its focus on ancient antiquity and historical contexts also adheres to fundamental neoclassical principles and ideas. Many neoclassical painters of the late 18th and early 19th centuries created works that might be compared to the intervention of the Sabine ladies, such as Francis Gerard's Cupid and Psyche. It showed many neoclassical traits such as an emphasis on idealized forms, a precise composition, and a focus on the classical subject matter, which represents the mythical love tale of Cupid and Psyche. Although value judgments regarding works of art are subjective and based on human preferences and interventions, there are many personal views of values, judgments about them. Nonetheless, the intervention of the Sabine women and Cupid and Psyche are regarded as the cornerstones of neoclassical painting, and each has its special virtues and strengths. The intervention of the Sabine women stands out for its strong composition, dramatic use of color and light, and well-rendered human form. Contrarily, Cupid and Psyche is renowned for its delicate, beautiful shapes, harmonic structure, and emotive representation of mythical ideas. Both have earned their spot as significant examples of neoclassical art, but ultimately, the work and quality of these works depend on individual judgment and opinion.